can't just be a one-trick pony, trying to legitimately have a successful business, local business, only with a website or only with a GMB, for that matter. Get as much exposure as you can, get ranking for those keywords, and never stop. Back to Local SEO Tactics, where we bring you tips and tricks to get found online. I'm your host, Jesse Dolan. Today we have a great interview that I had recently with Alan Levings of Growth Foundry. Alan's an awesome dude, kind of a savant in SEO, right? He gravitated to SEO, not on purpose, kind of fell into it through a few hops of his life, if you will, that he'll talk about here quick in the interview. Like most people, again, that wasn't what he went to college for and what he set out to do. He just found that it was attractive to him. And personally, he found that he was really good at it and has since made a career. Alan is the founder of Growth Foundry, which is an amazing organization that helps scale up your business, grow your business, and bring in more leads. And he's just a cool dude in general. In the interview here, we're going to go through a number of different topics, kind of a free-flowing conversation. We talk about your Google My Business listing. We talk about search engine rankings. We talk about some of the high-end kind of PR stuff that Alan does, some of the Google paid ads, pay-per-click, Google AdWords type stuff, and how all this stuff just kind of meanders and merges for good SEO strategies. There's going to be some actionable tips in here for you, some nuggets that you can pull out. And looking forward to having some future interviews with Alan to dive deeper into some of these specific topics. So hope you guys enjoy. It was a great interview. Here with Alan Levings of Growth Foundry. Alan, we met each other at a mastermind in Vegas a few months ago.
Yeah.
And had some interesting conversations. Wanted to know if you want to jump on here, talk snappy about some SEO stuff and some of the inner workings. So before we dive into some of it more, just thank you for jumping on and doing this. I think this is going to be a good topic for everybody here. So,
oh man, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Should say too, Alan, and I'd like to prod you for a little bit more of your background on how you got into SEO for everybody here in a second, which I kind of already know some of the story, but there's some great nuggets there.
Sure.
But right now you're managing partner, Growth Foundry.
Yep.
Definitely all in on SEO and all things related, and an expert in many aspects of it. One of the ones we're going to tease out today is digital crisis response.
Yeah.
The term right?
You got it.
Yeah.
That's what we call it.
So we'll dig into that, which is going to be kind of cool. I don't think many people have dealt with this kind of a thing, and there's some pretty interesting nuggets we hope we can try to apply to local SEO for people here.
Sure.
Before we get into that, I do want to promote to everybody our free audit tool out on localseotactics.com. If you're out there right now listening, trying to optimize your website, make some improvements and get ranked, go on out localseotactics.com. Top right corner, click on the yellow button for a free instant audit. Plug in your keyword that you're trying to optimize for, or that you want to kind of get the report to gauge your performance against. And it's going to spit you back a checklist and some things to do and some scoring on where to start. Totally free. Use as many times as you want. It's page by page, right? We're optimizing your page or scoring your page, not your website. So if you want to run multiple pages, you sure as heck can. And you'll find that again on localseotactics.com. Take advantage of that. Alan, so you have not always done SEO. You, like most people, kind of fell into it. Would you mind giving us the quick nickel tour on where you started, where it became attractive to you, and then how quickly you found out that this was something you were pretty darn good at, right?
Yeah, sure. So I actually, as a teenager, started working in restaurants and trained as a chef for a couple of years, and was working in restaurants and just kind of wanted to, it wasn't real conducive to family life. You got to work nights and weekends. So I decided to go to college, and I was going to be an accountant. Because I figured, anybody with any CEO has some sort of accounting background. So that's, why not go do that?
Good place to start, right?
That's right. Yeah. But while I was in college, there was I was getting grants and stuff like a lot of people do. And I had to take classes every single semester. I was going to lose my grants. And I would have to reapply and go through the whole process again. It would just slow me up. So one summer I was nearing the end of my degree, and one summer semester, all of the classes that I needed towards my degree had actually been filled up already. I didn't get there in time. And I had to take something. So I thought, well, I'll take web design 101. I'm kind of nerdy. I like to know a lot about a lot of things. And so I did that. And as soon as I wrote my first line of code, I was like, oh my God, this is great, right? I love this. I'm going to be a web designer now. This is what I'm going to do. So I graduated from college, and then kind of started doing websites and started thinking like, how am I going to get myself out there? How are people going to know about me? I started learning more that you don't really go get a job as a web designer. You kind of freelance and, build your portfolio. So then I was like, well, I found out digital marketing, SEO, right? It was just SEO.
Right.
Nobody even knew what it was back then. It was probably 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And so I got into SEO and discovered I was actually really good at it. And it made a lot of sense to me. And it was a lot funner than writing code and filling punch lists and clients changing their mind on their website design every day. And it's a lot more objective results as opposed to just, well, I don't like the font. You're like, I've changed it 47 times already. So
Right.
Just more up my alley for sure. So I actually started learning SEO and was trying to learn on my own, and got into local client takeover on Facebook. If anybody knows that group, it's, about 30,000 strong, but at the time there was probably only 500 members or so. And it was Mark Luckenbaugh and Matt Stack and Brian Willey. And I hit up Mark and was just like, hey man, I don't have any money. They had just released their local profit breakthrough course, a big local course. And so Mark, dude, I don't have any money, but I'll do grunt work for you. Like, if I could earn my way into this course, I don't have the $1,000 you're teaching for it, but I need to learn this stuff. Mark was like, man, I don't really have any work for you, but let me give you 1 or 2 videos to get you started. Right. I was like, all right, cool. Sure. Totally grateful. And then, he sent me full unlimited lifetime access to the complete course. And I was like, oh man, what a guy, right? Like, so he was
awesome.
He was trolling me a little bit, and
about under promise, over deliver, man.
Yeah,
holy cow.
Yeah. That's the kind of guy he is. So Mark became my SEO mentor and a really good friend, and he's a great dude. So yeah, I learned kind of everything I know from him, and so we got into I really started getting into GMB. GMB was sort of, it wasn't new necessarily, but people getting into doing SEO for it was sort of new at the time. And a lot of businesses didn't even have a GMB listing. So that's when I started getting into it, and, figured out some black hat techniques and learned some black hat stuff. And that was a little too far to the dark side for me. So I stayed kind of gray. And as things like CTR came along, and, learned a lot about CTR and things like that. So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it kind of takes, again, here from a local SEO perspective.
Sure.
I mean, you got to have the GMB, you got to know the CTR, your website. Like you can't just be a one trick pony, trying to legitimately have a successful business, local business, only with a website or only with a GMB, for that matter.
Yeah.
Get as much exposure as you can, get ranking for those keywords, and never stop, because like you said, a few years ago, not everybody was doing GMBs or having them, knowing about them. Now a lot of people do. Even if you gain, ranking and dominance, guess what? Your competitors are going to notice that and try to outflank you, and it's just never anything that you can kind of rest on.
Yeah,
which is why we have this show.
So I was going to say that's how I always explain it to my clients, because or to prospects, because they go, okay, well, once I get ranking, then, we're done, kind of is the attitude a lot of times. And I just say, hey, look, think about the Chicago Bulls back in the 90s. Did they win the championship and then go home and just wait for the next championship? No, they had to keep training, because the Lakers were coming. Shaq was coming for those rings. Right. You know what I mean? So You're right. You've always got to keep going, getting better, figuring out new techniques. Yeah.
Like we said too, is on this show a lot, and with our clients over the last couple of years with COVID and everything. Before, we'd always say like SEO is ongoing because your competition is going to cause change, right? They're going to come after you. You can't just sit there on your laurels. Google, of course, likes to throw change in there once in a while as well to disrupt things. But then and then your market at large, right? Like before Uber was a thing, like there's search terms now for ride sharing that were never existing before that you want to get ranked for. And then like the universe, man, like COVID, just things you never even thought about putting on your website or listing in your GMB. Like, we're open, curbside pickup. Like, things change so fast nowadays. We say that like from a media news standpoint and technology, but then also like this has to translate now to your business online. And this is in many spots, your GMB, maybe your social media, your website. And once you get up on top, if you're not doing those things to constantly stay there, big G and everybody else is going to see you're not, and
that's it.
You're gonna falter. You're gonna falter. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's ongoing. Fortunately and unfortunately, depends on which side of the fence you're on. But,
yeah, that's true.
But no, I thought you had from our discussions a super interesting topic here on this kind of this crisis management that, and I'll let you tell more of the story so I don't butcher it and
sure.
And make it sound less than it is. But you work with a lot of large names, large celebrities, people that really want to manipulate what's found online for their names or different phrases. And we'll kind of dive into that, get a little sexy with it on what the power of it is. But then also, again, try to apply this for the business owners and the local marketing managers out there with their auto repair shops or their chain of small businesses. Just preface this for everybody as Alan's going to talk us through some of these things and we dissect it. Think about how you can apply some of these to yourself, right? You're not going to be a huge celebrity with a problem that needs some digital rectifying here, but are there instances in your own business, right, where this can apply? Or can you go gray/black hat in some of these and like leverage these things, even if you don't have a crisis to take care of right now? What's the thought behind some of these things, and can you leverage that for your business? So, Alan, maybe start us off. When you say digital crisis response, what does that mean? So, what does it mean for all of us?
People used to call it reputation management. When I first heard of it, it was reputation management, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But then people like Bird Eye came along, and reputation management, I think now when you say it, is more gaining reviews and responding to reviews and sort of building your reputation. So we sort of, looked at it a little bit differently, and now we're calling it digital crisis response is the product that we have at Growth Foundry. And that's, you make a mistake and it goes viral online. We can go in and fix that for you in most cases, right? And so we do that, there's instances of celebrities, maybe they made a bad decision or they were engaging in some activity that maybe when they engaged in it wasn't really taboo, but has become taboo over time. And now they sort of see, they look at it and they go, I can see how that was a mistake. But somebody's picked it up, New York Times or Forbes or Peter, somebody's picked it up, and it's, now when you Google your name as that celebrity, that's all you see is that mistake that you made. So what we do is we use other publications, and we use positive properties and assets, social media and things like that. And we outrank them. We outrank the negative properties with positive properties, and we sort of replace the negative stuff with positive stuff. So it's a bit like we kind of approach it as like if you had to do SEO for a company that doesn't know you're doing SEO for it. So if you had to SEO Forbes, if you had to do SEO for Facebook without actually being hired by those people, how would you go about doing it? And so some of that is things like CTR, click-through rate manipulation, is one of the tactics that we use for that. And it's a little bit different because when you do it for your own website and for your own properties and you have access to analytics, and you can look and you can see, hey, this keyword, how much traffic does it get? And I take a percentage of that, send that much traffic to it, branded and all of that. But we don't necessarily want to, we don't want to make one property rank for a bunch of keywords. We want to make one property rank for one keyword, maybe a name or a company name. So we have to approach the CTR a little bit differently, and we have to do it in a really sort of analytical way, because we also don't have access to the analytics. I don't know how many times, let's say I was doing CTR work for President Biden, right? I don't have access to his properties. I don't have access to his social media. I don't know what keywords that Forbes article is ranking for, but I need it to rank for his name. So we've got to figure out how to do that through CTR. And then, of course, more traditional things like link building and just other tier 2 and supporting articles and things like that for their name. So
that's got to be pretty hard to break through because, like you said, you're dealing with, something that's fairly time sensitive in that something's kind of gone viral or just like the amount of propagation of information about this headline, this person, this topic is out there on all kinds of different outlets. Some of them reputable, maybe some not, but either way, like Google's favoring this, right? This is a name that's popular. This is news. This is the kind of thing that just slams on the front page. And to try to get into that real estate sooner than later, right? Like I'm assuming you're not talking 6-month timelines here.
No,
definitely is challenging.
Yeah, it definitely is. And sometimes we've actually come up against, we have some of our clientele has been, billion dollar portfolios. So people are always going after these people. And so sometimes we're not just competing against Google, but we're competing against other people. And some journalist sees that their article that they wrote about so-and-so is dropping down, and they're on a mission, an ethical mission in their mind, they got to get it back up. So they start doing things to promote. Maybe they hire an SEO company, or maybe they know SEO themselves, and they start re-promoting that article. And so now we have to compete against that as well. So it can be a little bit difficult and a little bit fun. You see an article dropping down in the rankings and you're feeling pretty good. And then one day it pops back up 3 spots and you go, uh-oh. And then the next week it goes up 1 more and you go, uh-oh. We got to get that thing back down. So then we know we're competing against other people as well. Not just.
Well, and like we were just saying with SEO in general, again, you gain dominance. It doesn't mean you're done. There's people angling, there's manipulation, there's outflanking that's always trying to happen because whether it be, just looking for auto repair locally, or in this case, wanting to be the news article that's there.
That's it.
There's money in SEO and in ranking, and everybody knows that. And the bigger the stakes, the more you keep got to paying attention, even if you rank up there. So, okay. So that is very interesting. Like just as a concept, right? Like we think about SEO, like I want to be found for this product or this service, and maybe even locally with this geographic reference tied to it. In this case, it's more, are we talking more of trying to just be the top ranking, or more about like a saturating the first page with multiple things, right? Is that, if I'm understanding it right?
Yeah. So that's how we do it. We take, if you search for so-and-so's name and you see that one, a lot of times it's just 1 or 2, right?
Okay.
We have one client, they tell us there's 3 or 4, but this is the one that concerns me. If you can get rid of this one, okay. So we saturate it, like you said, and it then becomes more about visibility, what we refer to as visibility, in that, there's a lot of places to be on the front page of Google. You've got ads, you've got autocomplete, you've got related searches, you've got maps, you've got image carousel and video carousel and all of that. And all of that equals visibility, right? Anybody that has any background in sales will tell you that it takes 8 touch points to complete a sale on average, right? People have to see you 8 times or hear you 8 times. So we try to get that visibility and sell in those various spots: ads, autocomplete, maps, video, images, related searches, organic, all of that. So that's how we actually kind of deal with our digital crisis responses, is we actually approach it from a local SEO perspective. How do we rank not just the website and the GMB, but how do we get that saturation and that visibility? Because even in organics, I can get 2 or 3 properties, 2 or 3 of your properties into the organics. Even you, even us as marketers, if we search for something and we search for, best furniture store near me, we're going to see it in maps. We expect that. We're probably going to see an ad. We expect that. But then if we see the same business 2 or 3 times on 2 or 3 platforms on the front page, we go, man, it could be really good SEO, but there could also just be something here. Maybe these people aren't really doing SEO, and people are talking about them so much that they actually are good. Right. Now imagine somebody without that marketing background sees that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think like you're saying, that's where, we in the industry have that curse of knowledge. And I point these things out to my wife, and she's like, pretends she's amused, but she's like, you're such a nerd. Like, I don't care, that obviously somebody knows their SEO and they're ranking first in SERP and then in the map pack. So like we're tainted spotting those things, but as the average consumer, like you're saying, just typing in whatever auto repair, you see somebody in the map pack and at the top of the SERPs, psychologically, you're just like, well, that's the one I'm going to pick. Like, you don't even think about it. You're not even making a conscious decision that, hey, they're in both spots, I should probably choose them. It's just reinforcement of those 4 or 5 spots for that real estate, right?
Yeah.
They're occupying 2 of them, if they're in the GMB and the top of the SERPs. That's who's getting that click or that call or that business. And as long as the business owner at that point either has a good looking website or is not butchering the phone call, case closed, probably. They're probably ruining that. You talking earlier about the CTR with respect to this too. Is that something, I'm curious, so you have an article, maybe you're ranking it. Let's say it's like 3rd or 4th. It's not quite where you need it to be. Are you going back kind of tweaking those titles like every few days, or if it's news related, is this like an hourly thing? Is there any nuggets you can kind of spill about manipulating that CTR to kind of get things to move a little bit if they're stuck,
Yeah, sure. I mean, meta titles are a big one, right? People see the titles. I know I'm turned off if that meta title doesn't answer my query.
Right.
If I look for, best furniture near me and the meta title talks about kitchen appliances, well, that's, I'm looking for a couch.
Nope.
And I'll move on. And maybe that is the best provider of couches. They've got the best prices and they've got, the top designers for half the price of anyone else, but I'm just going to move on. Yeah. So we've definitely got to manipulate those those titles to get to answer that query and to show the user, as humans, especially in the instant gratification era that we're currently in, we have, I think the last study came out said that we have like a 1.2 second attention span now. So I've got to capture you in what I know, right? It just gets lower and lower. But I mean, I'm the same way, right? Even paying attention to anything for more than 15 minutes and you start, squirrel, and you start going off in other places. So, things like getting those more natural click-throughs are on things like meta titles and meta descriptions. And you'll get more click-throughs as you saturate more and more with additional properties as well. And then, of course, there's, additional ways to get traffic to your website. Even if you want to keep it white hat, things like paid advertising can really create a lot of click-through. And we started seeing that a few years ago with I was working with some other guys, great guys. And we started noticing our clients that were running PPC ads were ranking higher with less effort. We're going, man, why? And so we changed our PPC strategy at that time and started sending them to inner pages instead of landing pages. Because a lot of times PPC guys don't want to send it to, subdomain.yourclient.com or something offsite and then send the lead over. So we started noticing that a couple of years ago. We'd send them to the homepage or we'd send them to, the specific service page. And we just started ranking almost with no effort. And so that's when, we were like, man, if you can get a client to run PPC or even do it yourself, especially in the beginning of a campaign or in the beginning of the life, because you want to get that value right away to your clients. Yep. So you take a piece of the budget and you spend $500 on Google Ads or $1,000 on Google Ads for the first 3 months. And you'll get those instant boosts in CTR. So there's a lot of ways to do it naturally.
So as you're saying that, for people listening that are probably going, oh, hell yeah, that's a trick I've never tried. Would you say to them, so like you're saying, running your ad to your inner pages, would these be the same pages you want to rank? Like, certain landing page for your area that push your ad to that, and then you're also going to get a bump. That thing's going to rank naturally better if you get enough traffic or enough clicks coming to it? Sure.
So in our strategy, what we did is we actually ran the PPC to whatever page was connected to the GMB. So if you're in a multi-location business, you might have yourdomain.com /Las Vegas and then another GMB that's front/Los Angeles and another GMB that's front/San Diego. And that's where you're sending from each. So we'll actually send the PPC to those, whatever's connected to the GMB. Because then we were seeing organic and GMB rankings at the same time, right? And then
the GMB was moving the needle too on that. That's interesting.
Yep, we would see the GMB move too. Because that's, I mean, for a lot of our clients, we're primarily local. At that time, we were working with personal injury lawyers. Now we work with home services, the HVAC and plumbers and stuff like that. But everybody knows in virtually every niche, it's about the GMB, the map pack. It doesn't matter that the plumber's going to come to you. People are still going to pick the map pack. It's the biggest results, the first one you see. So those are the things that we wanted to rank. And we noticed those organic rankings and then builds more trust and authority. So you can do that with Facebook ads. We've tested with Reddit ads. You can run ads on Reddit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then, of course, you can do like Hulu ads. You can get into Hulu now for $500 a month and get that TV advertising. And then you send people. In that case, you're probably going to want to send them to your homepage. But you can really cheaply get traffic to the pages that you want. That you want to rank.
So I've talked to some business owners about, PPC and things like that. And there's the one argument about, again, having that unique landing page for PPC to maybe gauge the results better, just have better analytics. Like there's no traffic coming to this page except for my PPC traffic. Yeah. Which I think there's some validity to that and purpose. Sure. But if you're trying to just overall get better rankings, I think the tactics you're describing have a big benefit. Maybe you lose a little bit of that trackability on what's moving the needle. Sure. But at the end of the day, if you're spending money for local SEO, you're spending some money for pay-per-click. If those can be combined together and kind of move the needle together more than they could separately, I think that's worth a little bit of diluted analytics, right? If you're just growing your business quicker and better at that point. So that's
as agency owners, and as agency owners, and even if you're the business owner wanting to attribute to your SEO company or your marketing company, there's ways sort of around that too. Like, we can't necessarily look in analytics and get that real true. I mean, we can if we set our tags up right, but there's always going to be a little bit of doubt, I think. But you can use things like dynamic number insertion for companies like CallRail and all of that, so that depending on where they come in from, if they come in from a PPC ad, they see one phone number. If they typed you in, they see another phone number. If they came from an organic search, if they came from GMB, so you could still get around that stuff. So that's how we were setting clients up at that time. To keep our attribution, right? To show them that we were doing our jobs and not allow them to feel like we weren't doing it, or maybe to have that doubt creep in. They're like, well, how do I know? Because it was helping us on every front. So we wanted to keep that as best as we could.
Maybe a little more cut and dry. Yeah. Going back to bridging the digital crisis response and the local SEO. If a business owner, maybe this gets a little black hat, but I'm kind of setting this up to maybe this isn't something people shouldn't do if people are kind of thinking about this. They wouldn't want to be targeting competitors, right? Or kind of like taking other people down instead of trying to bump their rankings up. No. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean,
other than no.
Yeah, sure. It used to be a lot easier to do it that way. For me, it's kind of an ethical thing. I want to beat you fair and square. I don't want to hurt other people's businesses. I just don't. That's not I'm in the business of helping other people, not hurting other people to get there. And I can do that. And for those that are willing to do it and are willing to cross that boundary, it used to be a lot easier. You could just send a bunch of unsavory links to a website, and you can tank them. And there's little tricks out there, things with images, hiding images within images and uploading them to the GMB and things like that. But it just doesn't work as well as it used to. So you'll spend a lot of time and effort and money trying to tank someone else, when it's just so much easier to bring your own properties up, especially when you're trying to rank for a name. If I'm trying to rank for Jesse Dolan, it's a heck of a lot easier to get your Facebook and all of that to rank than to push everyone else down until you come to the top. This doesn't make sense.
Right. And I think that is a good distinction. We talk about this. This is kind of name, or again, like you said earlier, I think more of like branded search, right? Not your typical product or service type long tail search, which we may think of for more local SEO stuff.
Yeah.
But then also to your point is if you go down the road of kind of being negative, I think if you beat me fair and square, it's the old, whatever, proverbial tip of the hat. Let me go back to the drawing board. But there's no vengeance. Whereas if somebody is getting attacked in the wrong ways, not that everybody's going to have the means or ability to strike back, but you're definitely inviting that kind of a response instead of a more friendly response, right? So, just like any other real world situation for, verbal altercations escalate and then just kind of back and forth.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I don't judge people that decide to take that route. If that's how you get your SEO done and you're making money at it, then,
sure.
Who am I to tell you how to run your business? So I don't want anybody to think that I'm looking down and I'm not holier than anybody, right? I'm trying to cheat a system.
Well, if they're watching the video here, though, if they're watching the video, it sure kind of feels like it with your angle. I don't know.
Yeah. Man, I recently moved across the country and our truck hasn't arrived yet. So I don't really have any furniture. So this is where I get the strongest Wi-Fi signal in the house. And so I have to stand at a counter to get this done. But I wanted to come and not delay. So
yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Well, no, I think that's good stuff, Alan. You got any more nuggets before we wrap it up, or any other things, anything you want to promote?
Man, no, I think I've said a lot. Hopefully I've dropped a couple of nuggets. Not really anything to promote at the moment. Feel free to reach out to anybody that needs help in the home services niche. And if your name is out there on some articles and you made a mistake, give us a holler. We don't take on every single client. Some mistakes are just too big. Some mistakes are just unforgivable. And I won't help you. Hopefully you can find someone, but it won't be me. But if something happened, then, worst thing that could happen is I tell you no, right? We could definitely take a look at it. So feel free to reach out.
Worth a check. And we're going to put a link to your website and your contact stuff in the show notes for this too. So if anybody wants to get a hold of Alan, just go to localseotactics.com, check out this episode, and we'll make sure you get linked together there and explore. Alan, thanks for jumping on here.
Thanks,
this is a pleasure, and can't wait to talk on some more other topics. You got, like I said, a lot of facets, some other topics in some future episodes, and drop some nuggets for everybody. So appreciate it. Looking
forward to it, man. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that with Alan. Some great nuggets in there. Some stuff applicable if you're a celebrity or a business mogul. Some things if you're just a regular old business owner working on your local business, trying to get some local SEO done. And looking forward to some future conversations with Alan. We're going to jump here over to our review for this episode. If you haven't left us a review, we'd love to hear it. Go on to localseotactics.com, scroll down to the bottom, click on the link for reviews. You can drop it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever media you'd like to listen to us on and enjoy it. If we're bringing you some value, we'd love to ask you for that trade. We're going to keep pushing out episodes, answering your questions, giving you good content that hopefully has some good actionable items on it for you. And we'd love to get a review from you. Helps us out and also lets us know we're doing a good job. If you do leave a review, we're going to read it on the show. We will eventually get to all of them. Here today, I have one from Mike Flanagan. Mike's 5-star review says, Local SEO Tactics is the best source for information and actionable steps to drive customers to your business. Every episode is full of easy to understand ways to increase your business online presence and customer conversion. This is a must for every business owner. Best 30 to 60 minutes in a week to invest in your business knowledge. That's awesome, Mike. That's kind of what we're hoping to do is, again, actionable items with some things that you can apply to your business and your digital marketing. So appreciate that. Like I said, everybody else, love to hear from you. Go on to localseotactics.com, click on the button down at the bottom for a review, and we'll read it on the show. All right, that wraps it up for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.